Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the homestead. My name is Mandy, and I'm here to help you become your own little factory, your own little food processing plant. So what we're going to do here today is, if you remember on our last video, Holly and I had a little war, a little showdown over who had the best deal on the tomatoes. She won, but I don't know that she actually won because she had a lot more work to do than I do. So in the end, you have to, weigh it out. What's better, the less work or the more work? And how much more are you getting for the more work, right? But anyway, I have her tomatoes here too. So shh, don't tell her, but I'm going to do a little surprise for her. Because when she left, because she had to go, she don't live here. See, this is her tomatoes. I put them in this old ice cream jug so that I can have them and put them in the fridge for her. And I was going to can them for her. I said, oh, don't worry about it. I'll can them for you, not a problem. And she uses tomatoes all the time. She does a lot of Instapot work. And so she put, a lot of her recipes call for like a can of tomatoes. So she thought it would be really good if we, jarred up her in little pints, her tomatoes, so she would have them for her Instapot recipes. But I got to thinking after she left, and I thought in my head, that's not good value for your money. That's not good value for your money at all. Tomatoes are probably one of the cheapest things. Although they've gone up substantially in price. I think, can of tomatoes can now be over $2. At the cheapest end, $1.50. Maybe, if you can find a super deal, maybe you can find them for $1 or just over $1. But generally, they're one of the most expensive things, or one of the cheapest things to buy. One of the most expensive things to buy, however, is salsa. And salsa is, like just one step up from tomatoes. So if you're going to go through all the work of jarring these tomatoes, you might as well add a few things. Now look, this is all we've got, and we're going to take our $15 worth of tomatoes, and we're going to add these few little ingredients, and we're going to turn our $15 worth of ingredients into jars and jars of salsa. Now, what does salsa sell for? Maybe $3.99 a jar, like way more money. And all you're doing is taking tomatoes and adding this. We're going to add green pepper. I got 2 here. I've got some more in the freezer. A jalapeno for some heat. I have a little more jalapeno. I know they like the heat in that house, so I might add a little more than this. I have this old pepper, so I'm going to add that in there. And, about 10 onions or so, and some cilantro. So this is, I don't know, what are we saying? $5 worth of ingredients here at most. And we're going to add it to our $15 worth of ingredients. And then we're going to get many jars of $3.99 worth of product that we would buy off the shelf. So anyway, stick around because you're not going to want to miss how easy it is to make salsa and put it on your own shelf. And again, you don't have to have a pressure canner for this because it's a tomato product. All you need is a big pot with water, and that's how you can it. Okay, guys, come with me and we're gonna chop this stuff up. Okay, friends and fellow homesteaders, I got my apron on. I went to the food processor. I cut up all my green pepper, hot peppers, jalapeno peppers, and onions, and I put them in, and there really literally is no wrong way to do this. Okay, the size, everything depends on how you like to eat salsa. So I'm doing this for Holly, and Holly wants a restaurante style salsa. So that means she wants it a little bit runny. She doesn't want it mushed, right? So that's the way I'm going to make it for her. But when you're making salsa, you have to just decide how you like it. Like if you go to the grocery store, you'll see a million different kinds of salsa. You'll see salsa with beans in it, salsa with corn in it, chunky salsa, smooth salsa. Everything is about the way you want it. So you have to cook it according to the way your family wants to eat it. So I've got us a pot here, and I'm going to dump the tomatoes that Holly cut up yesterday. Oh my goodness, that's heavy. I'm gonna put them in here, and she wants her salsa a little bit chunky. Look at that, that's a lot of tomato right there. So I was out with my son today, and he bought me this. Look at this big wooden spoon. I'm gonna use it. that nice? Is that a nice wooden spoon? Really long. See, look at on the pot. I've had my eye on that for a while. Since I was with my son and he had his wallet out, I said, hey, now's the time to get my spoon. So anyway, we're going to take this. We're going to dump this in here. Boy, this is going to come right to the top of this pot. We're not going to have room for anything. But don't, it will cook down because I plan on cooking it. And even the amount of time you cook it all depends on, I'm just going to shove that in there, all depends on how you like your salsa. The longer you cook it, the mushier you make your vegetables, the mushier you make your chunks. So there is no specified cooking time. It's cooked to your preference. It's spiced to your preference. Everything is done to your preference. So here's our cilantro. There we go. We're right to the top of this pot. And now, oh, I forgot to add a couple things. I probably should have added this stuff before we got to the top. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of salt in here. Now remember, and if I want more salt later when we go to taste it, I'll add more salt. And I'm going to add garlic. This is my chopped garlic. We'll just put that in there. So, kind of shove it down in there. And again, if we want more garlic, we'll add more garlic. And then I'm also going to add 2 cups of vinegar. So that's just going to go down in there. There we are. Now we're going to take it over. We're going to take it over to the stove and we're going to start to cook it. And we're going to cook it to our preference. Okay? Follow me. Okay, here we are over at the stove and I got this stuff on. I started maybe cooking it 5 minutes ago. You can see that it's already started to go down from the way it was. Now, many people, they can this stuff fresh, just like this. They put it in the jar and can it. So like I said, guys, it's all about personal preference. Like find a recipe, maybe follow it. I'm going to put below exactly what I put in this, so maybe you can, follow the way I did it. I'm going to have to actually write it down because I'm a little bit inconsistent in the way I cook. I just always cook to taste, so I'm always tweaking things and moving things around. But here we go. So I just wanted to show you what this looks like on the stove, and we're going to come back when I get it down to where I want it to can it, okay? Hey guys, I ran out of steam last night while I was making this salsa. So what I did was I just covered it up and I put it in the fridge, and I thought I'm gonna can that stuff tomorrow when I have more time and feel more like it, doing all that work. So I've taken it out of the fridge, I put it on the stove and I brought it back up to a boil. First things first though, guys. First of all, this smells incredible, but does it taste incredible? Don't waste your time and effort canning something that you're not going to eat. So always taste it, if you can. There's some recipes you can't taste, you have to just put in, but this you can taste. And make sure this is something that's edible. There's not too much salt, there's not too much this, there's not too much of that it's unedible. Or maybe it got burnt. Sometimes, you burn a pot and then you can't eat it. Then you end up canning something and nobody wants it. Nobody will eat it because it's burnt. So, as much as you don't like the waste, sometimes you just gotta dump it and, take the waste. But we're gonna taste this, make sure it's good. Incredible. It's perfect. I ended up putting 3 cups of vinegar in here. I'm gonna write the recipe out for you guys. If we're gonna do this, I gotta get better at it. I gotta get better at giving you guys recipes instead of just me winging it with the salt and the pepper and everything. And so we're gonna can these jars for home. I've sterilized these jars, and I have my lids over here. Now we're just gonna fill them. Remember always to leave our head space, right? Okay, here is our cans in our water bath canner. This is what we have here. You can use any pot. It doesn't have to be this pot. It can be any size. It can be, you know, even if you have a smaller pot, it's okay. If you're just starting out, you don't need all the stuff. You just need a pot. But here, this is, so I have, my jars are, the water is 1 inch above the lids. That is food and safety standards. However, the Amish, they don't can by that. They can by the water being down just above the food product. They don't like the siphoning that sometimes happens, that water gets into your stuff and into your product. So they do that, but that is not safety regulation or standards. I've not tried that. I'd like to try it. I mean, the Amish have been doing this for years, but this is the way I've always done it, so I guess I'm kind of going to stick to it. Okay. Remember, 20 minutes. Okay, guys, we've got our jars all canned up, and our salsa is good and canned, and Holly ended up with 35 cups of salsa. So I did a little math here just to see, you know, how good of a deal this is, and is it worth it to go through all this bother. The one thing that we did in the last video, we did kind of decide that maybe it was not that great of a deal to buy the tomatoes and then process them ourselves, but it would have been just as good if we just bought the cans and saved ourselves that little bit of work. We just bought the 2-gallon cans of tomatoes, even though she did win and she did get more tomatoes. But anyway, so I was doing a little math to figure it out. So 35 cups. I had to kind of convert everything to cups. Basically, that's what we ended up with, was 35 cups of salsa. Now, in Canada, this is 500 milliliters. This is 250 milliliters, and that's red hot. So when we buy a jar of salsa, it's somewhere around 670 milliliters. So I had to do a lot of math and a lot of thinking and I put it all into cups, and then I figured it out from there. So basically, the very, very, very cheapest I could find for canned tomatoes would have made 35 cups of tomatoes worth $21. Now it cost just $15 in tomatoes. So I mean, we could have gone through all that work and saved ourselves $6 over the process. Hardly worth it. I mean, it is worth it if you do that for everything, but there's better value, as we discussed. The salsa is better value. So at the very, very cheapest, 670 milliliters is at the very cheapest $4.49. That's the very cheapest. It goes up from there, so it could be way more. So at the very, very cheapest, 35 cups of salsa, if we were to buy it already processed off the shelf, is somewhere around $55. And to make this salsa cost us $20. So we're talking almost a third of the cost. Now that's what we call a savings, and that's what we call worth it. This is how you get your grocery bill way down, right? So so we're eating better. I mean, it's all fresh, basically. It's all homemade. Like I said, once you open it though, it has to go in the fridge, and then it has a very short life, like a week or 2 weeks, 2 weeks tops. And then if you don't use it all, you're throwing it out. That's why sometimes smaller jars are better. That way you can use the whole jar at one sitting, and then you don't have to worry about putting it in the fridge. So that's it. Those are our savings. This is how we get the grocery bill down. And you know, every day in the news, things look worse and worse, and tariffs and all kinds of nuttiness. So we have to work really hard at figuring out how we're going to feed ourselves and how we're going to deal with the cost of everything going right through the roof. So we need to learn how to do this stuff. So like and subscribe on this channel, and I'm going to help you because like I said, I spend $100 a week on groceries. That's it, and that's Granted, that's from a time period of building up a pantry, but you have to start somewhere. So start today. Start today. Find a recipe on the internet anywhere that you can do. Bring it home and put it in your pantry. And then at least do one a week. If you did one recipe a week, in no time at all, you would have a stocked pantry. Like you see those homesteading channels, and they take you on tours of their pantry. It's so full of food, they could feed an army. And that's how they do it. And they do it so minimal. Like, I mean, granted, they're gardening and doing all this other stuff, but we can do it too, even without the gardens. And if we have a garden, if we have a place to have a little plot, all so much the better. Okay, guys, that's it for today. We're going to enjoy this salsa. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Catholic Homestead.